Ask CNN, and you let us know what you have always wanted to know about. Coming up here, the countdown to Super Bowl 35 will go live with CNN Sports Illustrated's Bob Lorenz to get the scoop ahead. Later here, the tug of war over the Internet twins. What are the pitfalls of adopting over the web? We want your questions and your comments. Get ready to call us at 404-221-1855.
Problem, officer?
It's more than a buck, pal.
I'm just passing through. I don't want to buy the place.
Mister, $1 can't buy anything nowadays.
Oh, silly man. Just dial 10-10-220, and all calls up to 20 minutes are just 99 cents.
That's right, Joe, and only 7 cents a minute after that.
20-minute call for 99 cents?
And no monthly fee. Good point.
Great rates without a monthly fee? Go on through.
All right.
Dial 10-10-220.
Tonight on Larry King Live, like the star she is, she's come out at night. Say good evening to one of America's top-rated morning anchors, Diane Sawyer, tonight 9 Eastern on CNN.
AT&T Cable. Home and Garden. Home and Garden TV brings you more programs featuring America's best home builders, decorators, gardeners, and craft experts. And best of all, you get it right through the cable you already have. Home and Garden Television. Enjoy it tonight on AT&T Cable.
Serving the greater Portland area, we're AT&T Broadband.
The wind is out there, whispering past our faces, as if to say, I can breathe life into anything.
Clean wind power. Just one more way Portland General Electric is preparing for tomorrow, today. Let the future begin. This is CNN.
And now check out this hour's top stories. 2 Texas fugitives are scheduled to be arraigned this afternoon in Colorado. Police arrested the pair in a Colorado Springs hotel room early this morning, acting on a tip from an employee. They were among the 7 prisoners who escaped from a South Texas facility 6 weeks ago. 4 other fugitives were captured on Monday. A 7th killed himself. The 6th have been charged with murdering an Irving, Texas officer shortly after their escape. Campaign finance reform will top the agenda when President Bush meets with Republican Senator John McCain of Arizona this afternoon. 2 former rivals shown here on the campaign trail are scheduled to meet in about half an hour. White House says Mr. Bush has an open mind, but has not changed his views on a key disagreement, whether unions should be required to ask members before spending union dues on political causes. California's power crisis has eased a bit, but the situation remains serious. Bush administration has extended an emergency order for 2 weeks. That order requires suppliers to provide natural gas and electricity to the state's cash-strapped utilities. There are no rolling blackouts expected today. The state narrowly avoided blackouts yesterday. Countdown is on for Super Bowl 35. It's now just 4 days away. The excitement is building at Tampa's Raymond James Stadium, which is the site, of course, of Sunday's face-off between the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Members of both teams were on hand for Media Day yesterday, where the news media got its chance to get in a few questions. More than 120 million people are expected to tune in for at least part of the game. The Ravens and the Giants are getting ready for the big game and keeping an eye on all the activities of these final few days is CNN Sports Illustrated's Bob Lorenz. He joins us from Tampa now. Bob.
Well, Joey, you know what? The Baltimore Ravens, they are having no trouble making headlines this week, and most of the headlines involve Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis, as we know now. Brian Billick, their head coach, kind of hit the ground running on Monday and basically gave the media a stern lecture about not rehashing the details of Lewis and his double murder charges that he faced a year ago. Then on Media Day yesterday, Lewis was peppered with questions, and he said, you know, he pretty much considered this a closed chapter in his life. But obviously, it's still very much an open book and an open topic of discussion when his teammate today, Shannon Sharpe, lit up the media for continuing to bring up the subject.
It's always an asterisk by it. Yeah, he's defensive player of the year, but look what happened last offseason. Oh, he's on the #1 defense in the NFL, but look what happened last year. Why can't we just can't move on? Just give him his credit. He's been exonerated of all charges. All charges. You don't, listen, if they thought they had something on this man, you don't plead with a man that you think committed double murder. I can assure you. Did they do that with Ray Carew? Did they plead anything? You don't plead. You don't plead to a man with that. And all he had to do was, what, $100 court fine and court costs. That's all he had to pay. They plead this man because you know why? They know they didn't have a case. They knew they made a mistake, but they could not come out and say it publicly that they made a mistake. They made a terrible judgment and error. That's what they did. And now we have the best player in the league, and all you all want to talk about. I have not, when you talk to this man, not one time have you mentioned anything about the Giants in the Super Bowl or the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Well, Ray, what was it like when you were in jail? Ray, what was it like? What the hell, what do you think it was like? The man fighting for his life.
Well, it's ironic that while the Ravens say they want to just close the book on this, they continue to bring it up day after day. But here's the good news, Joey. If you like football and you want to get the focus back on that, it should change after tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day for media roundtables and the last day that the players will directly address the media. After that, no more talking, tighter restrictions, and more curfews for the players. So the focus will be back to football at some point a little later in the week.
And you'll have to work on getting your story somewhere else then, Bob. Bob Lorenz from CNN Sports Illustrated joining us from Tampa today. Big winner in this year's Super Bowl is already a winner. CBS. It will pull in a reported $2.3 million for each 30-second commercial. That works out, by the way, if you can't count fast enough, to a record $76,667 for each second of ad time. The new rate is a 4.5% increase from last year, despite the presence of fewer of those .com ads. Only 3 of the 17 .coms which advertised last year will have ads this year. Many of them suffered seriously in the stock market this year. Super Bowl is the biggest gambling event in the country, and the internet has made it even bigger with hundreds of gambling sites. For all the dirt on that, we're joined in Los Angeles by one of the world's leading authorities on gambling law, Nelson Rose, who's a professor at Whittier Law School. Thanks for being with us, Professor.
Good to be here.
We say that it is the biggest gambling day, but how big are we talking about?
Well, of course, we don't know from the illegal sites or illegal bookies, but the state of Nevada takes in about $2.5 billion in wagers legally at its sports books. So we can have a pretty good idea that there's got to be a lot, probably about the same amount, bet illegally on the internet on sports each year.
Talk to us about how the internet has changed gambling on big sporting events like this. I mean, after all, that supersedes all the laws anyway if you can do it on the net, right?
Well, the legal questions are just so complex. The one thing that we know for sure is that if you're a bettor, there is no federal law against you. The federal government is only interested in going after organized crime, so they go after the businesses. There are some state laws that say it's illegal to make a bet, but your chances of getting arrested are real slim.
So I could get in trouble for being in an office pool? Not that I would be, but I mean... besides losing, in about half the states, it's actually against the law to make a bet, except in a licensed establishment. But I've been trying to find anybody who's ever been arrested, and so far I've actually found one person in California who was arrested for making illegal bets. Actually, was on the Super Bowl by telephone. And why was it that person got in trouble?
Well, my personal theory is he was a real big bettor. He had lots of phones and lots of bets made all over the world, and the police thought he was a bookie. So when they raided, they thought they were going to get, an illegal bookie, and they sat there and waited for the phone to ring so they could get some good evidence showing that he was taking bets. He wasn't. Well, after you've raided a guy, you got to kind of arrest him, to kind of cover yourself. So they found this statute that says you can't make bets. And he's the only person I know who's ever been arrested.
But if you have internet gaming, I mean, theoretically, you could have bettors from anywhere in the world joining in on the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. It's about half the market is the United States, and the rest of the world combined is about the other 50%. It looks like the internet is increasing the amount bet. The sports books in Nevada are being hit. They're not growing. They used to grow every single year for the last 12 years, and now they've just plateaued out. And every year we find hundreds of more sites on the internet that are taking bets, some of which are actually licensed in other countries. It's hard to estimate the size, but we're definitely in the billions of dollars.
All right. Well, doing the numbers here with Nelson Rose, professor from Whittier Law School. Thanks very much. We won't ask who your pick for the winner is of the Super Bowl this weekend.
I only bet if I'm going to win.
Okay. Thanks very much, Professor. The transatlantic custody fight over those twin babies coming up on CNN today. Who should get custody of them? We'll take your questions and your comments on this controversial subject. The call-in number is 404-221-1855. 404-221-1855. And you can call in with your questions right now.
Computer, note to self. Explain how Web Center can improve
Kema Azuma just can't get technology off his mind. Which means his customers don't always have to have it on their minds. WorldCom, Generation D.
In a world of opportunity, how do you find a financial advisor who's right for you? Do you want one who works for the oldest company or the youngest? Do you want one with the fastest growing company or the most deeply rooted in tradition? Or do you simply want one who listens to you like you are the only investor in the world? Raymond James, you first.
There is another twist today in the international custody battle over twin girls. The baby's biological father has been awarded temporary custody of them. That ruling from a judge in Missouri where the father lives. But the decision may not carry very much weight because a British court has placed those 6-month-old babies in foster care while it considers this already complex case. A British couple found the children through an internet adoption agency and took them to Britain. Judith and Alan Kilshaw say they paid the adoption agency about $12,000. They vow to keep fighting for custody of the girls. A California couple say they bid for the babies first, though, and are fighting to get them. Richard and Vicki Allen say they paid the adoption agency about half of what the Kilshaws paid. The Allens also say they cared for the girls for 2 months while they were waiting to adopt them. And the natural mother, Tranda Wecker, has decided she wants twins back as well. Just ahead, we will hear what all of you have to say about this intriguing adoption story. You can call this number to comment or ask an adoption expert some questions about it, 404-221-1855. And that expert, Phoebe Dawson, joins us now to talk more about the case and about the issue of internet adoptions generally. She's the executive director of New Beginnings Adoption and Counseling Agency in Columbus, Georgia. She's been involved in nearly 500 adoptions herself. We thank you for joining us, Ms. Dawson. Can you explain to us whether there really is a difference because this was an internet case? I mean, how is this different from somebody who, say, advertises in a newspaper?
Well, I would say that it's different because in advertising in a newspaper, you still leave an opportunity for there to be some kind of connection.
But if it's an out-of-state adoption agency, I mean, it's not like you would necessarily see the offices or see what a real operation looks like anyway.
Well, I would be concerned about doing an adoption with an agency that I can't put my hands on and with people that I can't put my hands on, and that's the difference.
Couldn't this, though, have happened, though, with any sort of adoption? I mean, after all, in the state of California, as I understand it, the biological mother was within her time frame to be able to take the babies back, to change her mind anyway. So couldn't this have happened through any sort of agency?
Well, it could have happened, but at the same time, there would be some protection in place with most private agency, I would say. Certainly with our agency, we would have some protection there in terms of working more with the birth mother and wanting to know what her true desires are for the child, and having more information about the family to be able to pass on to her.
But the laws would have remained the same. I mean, she would have still had the same rights based on the state that the children came up for adoption in, right?
Well, the laws are different from state to state, so we can't really compare adoptions in Georgia with adoptions in California, so the laws are different from state to state. But as far as her having her rights, if the state gives her certain amount of time for her rights to be terminated, and she works within that time, yes, she can do that.
Phoebe Dawson is joining us this hour. She's with a New Beginnings Adoption and Counseling Agency in Columbus, Georgia. We'll ask you to stand by for a moment, Ms. Dawson. When we come back, what do you think about Internet adoptions? We want to hear from you. Call us now at 404-221-1855. We'll talk more about this emotional topic and take some of your questions and your comments after a break here.
There is a venture capitalist out there with hundreds of millions of dollars for technology firms, startups, expansions, firms with new ideas, all in a friction-free business environment. Why would a venture capitalist work this way? Because they're convinced that technology is a can't-miss investment, and they'll do whatever it takes to help companies succeed. Who is this venture capitalist?
Pennsylvania.
I watch the ripples change the size, but never leave the stream.
In today's net economy, companies are struggling to change, struggling with the complexities of e-business, with making intranets, extranets, and the internet work together across any platform around the world. Well, now it can all work together as one net. With Net Services software from Novell, the power to change.
We're back now talking again about that adoption case everyone is talking about these days. Those twin girls promised first to one couple, then given to another, and adoption begun over the internet. Our guest this hour is Phoebe Dawson, who runs an adoption agency. We're taking your calls. The number for that is 404-221-1855. And Ms. Dawson, we already have a caller on the line, but it's Angela, who's in California. Angela, what's your question?
My question is, these children are American citizens, and yet they're being held in British foster care. Why not bring the children back to the U.S., have them in foster care, and have it legally worked out here in this country?
Is there a way to explain that, Ms. Dawson? There are an awful lot of, I guess, international laws involved.
Well, exactly. Those are international laws that are involved, in which we were involved in a case where we were working with an adoption in London, and it's very complicated, and that's something that I would not be able to answer that question.
Are there a lot of attempts to, say, standardize laws? We were talking before the break about differences between, say, the state of Georgia and the state of California. Is there any attempt to sort of standardize that, at least in this country, much less in other countries?
I don't know that there's any attempt in terms of standardizing the amount of time that a birth mother may have. There are some attempts at standardizing practices of adoption, good moral professional practices in adoption. There certainly needs to be some type of standard so that this type of situation would not happen.
I guess there is a lot of question in people's minds. Private adoption, some done through lawyers' offices or doctors' offices or what have you. Can you give us your opinion about what the distinction should be and what people should be concerned about?
I think the major concern in an adoption triad is that we always must act in the best interest of the most innocent party. And the most innocent person in an adoption situation is the child. And we must do whatever we can to protect and provide the best possible situation for that child. And the only way that can really happen is that all parties need to be well investigated. The adoptive family, the birth family as well. There needs to be extensive investigation on both parts.
We have another caller on the line now, Ms. Dawson. This is Ray in Arizona. Ray?
Yes, hello.
Yes, your question, Ray?
Yes, I was wondering almost the same thing as the other lady, except for the simple fact that the couple in California already have one child, and which that would make a loving and caring home for the twins. And my feelings is the couple in California, why they shouldn't get the twins back, because they have proven that they can make a good home for them.
I guess that is something for the courts to decide, Ms. Dawson, but I guess there is that question. I mean, how often does the biological mother change her mind, create a situation where, you know, perhaps on paper or in every other way there's reason to believe that the prospective adoptive parents would be offering a good home, and yet things fall apart because the biological mother has a change of heart?
Well, we have seen that happen just very recently with the situation that we're working with. And we put everything that we have into working with our birth mothers. We provide them, try to meet their needs, whether it's physical or emotional, and they can still change their mind, and they always realize that there's that option. One of the things that we like to tell our birth mothers is that you are not obligated to place a child with any family, and that you must do what you feel is in the best interest of the children.
On Ray's question specifically, I mean, is evidence of a previous good home, say, situation, is that enough to sway a decision about which family should get the child?
Well, I don't think that we can really discuss which one of those families are going to get that child. My understanding is that the biological father is now involved in this situation, and of course his rights are going to have to be addressed.
All right, let's talk now to Claire, who is in Georgia. Claire, your question?
Yes, I was wondering just how much longer this is going to go on with the children being back and forth, and to have the media so much surrounding this story for such a longer period of time has got to be a very unhealthy environment for these babies. So we would like to know just how much longer is this whole circus of events going to continue?
Yeah, and those poor little girls, only 6 months old.
I think what's going to have to happen before any decision can be made is how are the birth father's rights going to be dealt with? It is my understanding that he has indicated that he wants his children, and the courts are going to have to deal with that. And by far, if his rights were not adequately or correctly terminated, then he is the first priority for those children.
Phoebe Dawson with New Beginnings Adoption and Counseling Agency of Columbus, Georgia. We appreciate your being with us today.
Thank you.
Now time to talk about the weather, and for that, Orland City is right here.
That's right. I am here, and the weather is there, because there's nothing happening in the southeastern United States. It is really quiet. You can see a little bit of shower activity there across Georgia and South Carolina and across northern Arkansas. There's also a little bit of snow moving through the Great Lakes. The main story, though, continues to be that system out in the west. That's going to mean some snow and rain for you in California. Temperatures, though, are cold in the Plain States, teens and even a few 20s. Chicago right now, 27 degrees. Minneapolis is 19. Pierre is 18 degrees. By far, those are the coldest temperatures. Look down to the south. Brownsville is 72, 66 right now at Houston and at Orlando. This is how your map shapes up for tomorrow. Pretty good-looking day across the Plain States. There may be some snow flurries in the eastern U.S., especially through Kentucky, stretching back through West Virginia into the Great Lakes. Low-pressure storm is also going to be off the coast of the Carolinas, but by far the west is going to get just socked tomorrow. Denver, Salt Lake City, Boise, Idaho, all of those locations could have snow, and some of it could be very heavy. You'll also see rain off the California coast as a new storm system starts to work in Thursday morning. By Friday, that storm is onshore in California. So you'll see snowfall for eastern portions of Oregon, down through Nevada. A little ridge of high pressure builds in for the Rockies, but then that storm sweeps right into the Plain States. And again, by Friday, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a chance of maybe a shower or thunderstorm or two across the Gulf Coast. Places like Paducah, let's say Salt Lake City, or excuse me, St. Louis, Kansas City, Des Moines, Minneapolis. That's going to be snow for you on Friday. But the east looks great. Nice ridge of high pressure builds in and settles in for much of the weekend. Not much different on Saturday. Still some snow in the Great Lakes. Showers across the Gulf Coast, and a new storm rolls right into the southwest on Saturday, continues to push east on Sunday. So the trend we've seen this week repeats itself for the weekend. Snow showers may last across the Great Lakes on to Sunday. As far as your temperatures are concerned, it gets downright nice across the southeast, 60s and 70s for the Gulf Coast states down into Florida. Still very cold, though, across the northern U.S. with 20s and 30s on the weather map. A little bit of a warm-up comes in on Sunday for the northern plains. You'll be in the 40s in Denver and back into parts of Wyoming. 60s for the Gulf Coast on Sunday. Southern Florida stays in the 70s.
You know, we will take that quiet in the southeast.
You know,
I
like it. It's
not
a
a bad option. Orland, thanks. When we come back here, when majestic beauty meets a mysterious disease, a look at what is killing bald eagles and what can be done to stop those deaths.
Superior Bank has never had a response like the one it's received for its new Opti-Loan program. Homeowners across the country are receiving up to 90 days with no mortgage payments, up to 3 months payment protection against illness or unemployment, and can now even skip a payment if the need arises. Join with the thousands of homeowners who've already called Superior at 1-888-678-7777 and find out how Superior's new Optilone program can help you.
Try remarkably healthy Smart Beet American Flavor Slices. They're a source of essential calcium for health with no fat, no cholesterol, and no lactose. Smart Beet Slices are certified by the American Heart Association.
Who says fat-free can't be delicious?
Georgia's lawmakers may have averted a battle over the state flag. Late this afternoon, members of the State House approved a new flag design, one that relegates the controversial Confederate emblem to a tiny symbol at the bottom of the flag. It also adds the motto, "In God We Trust." The new flag design has the backing of African-American lawmakers and the state's governor. The bill now goes on to the state Senate, which is expected to vote on the flag this week. Can't draw a picture of that. Bald eagle, proud symbol of our nation, has faced extinction and come back stronger than ever thanks to conservation efforts. But now the species is facing a regional threat from a mysterious disease that has researchers worried and has eagles dying by the dozens. CNN's Brian Cabell with the story.
Something is killing bald eagles in the southeastern United States, and no one's sure exactly what it is. Over the last 6 years, more than 80 of the majestic birds have fallen victim to the mystery ailment. Researchers have a name for the disease, avian vacuolar myelinopathy, or AVM, but they don't know how the eagles contract it.
Well, the disease is appearing in coots and other waterfowl, and also in eagles and some other birds. We're speculating that maybe it's being passed to the eagles through the coots, which is one of their food supplies.
And the lesion consists of these clear spaces called vacuoles.
Researchers are conducting autopsies on the dead eagles, searching for clues.
Well, the diagnostic work so far has not found any evidence of bacteria, viruses, or parasites. That kind of leaves us with the possibility of some type of a compound, either natural or man-made, that's in the environment that may be the cause of the problem.
A toxic algae bloom is one possibility, authorities say. Eagles build their nests atop trees near rivers, lakes, and the ocean because that's where their food, fish and waterfowl, comes from. Over the last 3 decades, bald eagles have made a remarkable recovery in the lower 48 United States, thanks in large part to the Endangered Species Act, which protects them and their habitat. There were only 450 nesting pairs in the 1960s. Many had been killed off by the pesticide DDT, which was finally banned in 1972. Today, there are 4,500 nesting pairs. That's a 10-fold increase. But that burgeoning population is now being threatened by a mystery disease, one which wildlife officials say will not be easily eradicated. Brian Cabell, CNN, Atlanta.
If you want more information about the bald eagle, plenty of places to find that on the web. This one is the American Bald Eagle Camera that looks at eagles nesting at Barton Cove on the Connecticut River in Massachusetts. You can find that at www.nu.com. You click on Eagle Cam. There are even eagle sounds on that one. And that's it for CNN Today. I'm Joey Chen. Thanks for being with us. Inside Politics comes your way next.
Wrap up your financial news day with Willow Bay and Stuart Varney. The Moneyline News Hour. Weeknights, 6:30 Eastern on CNN.
Meet Jerry. Jerry owns his own business. He's the big kahuna. He answers to no one and makes all the decisions, like sales, which vendors to use, pricing, inventory, office supplies, payroll, audits, business cards, office machines, email accounts, long distance rates, accounting, advertising. We're AT&T Media Services, and we are cable advertising.
Got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, nobody cared.
When I first got pregnant, school was not important to me, so I dropped out.
Well, if I don't finish school, then I can't go to college. That's the whole point of what I want to do with my life.
I still need to go to school to make it for myself.
I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.